Welcome back, everybody. We have the perfect guest to wrap things up tonight. Stephen Billy, Vice President of State Affairs for the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life Group, is joining us. Stephen, great to have you on the show today.
Wonderful to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, one of the things we've had over the last hour of conversation, it's really important for those who are in the pro-life movement to be educated, to have the facts, to have this conversation in America. There's so much misinformation out there. How important is it to get facts and information into the hands of the frontline activists so they can counter a lot of what's in the news media today?
It's critical, and it's exactly one of the goals of the Charlotte Lozier Institute, which is the research and education arm of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America. LozierInstitute.org. They have phenomenal information to help talk about the science and statistics on all of these issues, really break it down so that people can be educated. And there's two parts of this. We need to make sure that people are educated about what we're talking about. What is abortion? It's the intentional taking of an unborn child's life in the womb. That's what it is. That's what elective abortion is. It's killing a baby. On the back end, we need to talk about the dangers of those abortions, whether it's surgical or chemical abortions, the risk that those abortions pose to mothers. And then also in this new era that we're in the Dobbs era, where life can be protected, the misinformation about whether women are going to be able to get treatments in situations they need them, whether it's an ectopic pregnancy or whether they're experiencing the heartbreak of a miscarriage. The pro-abortion activists are out there saying that women aren't going to be able to get the care that they need in those situations. And it's a dangerous misinformation that they're spreading. It's going to cause doctors to be hesitant to provide the care. It's going to cause women to be scared about getting the care. And it's not true. It just simply isn't the case that women can't get that care when they need it.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things Senator Marshall made clear really right at the top of this show, that is one of the falsehoods that have been bantied about since the Supreme Court ruling. Let me take on another one of those, because you mentioned the research that you guys are doing. President Biden recently said that abortion pills are really safe and they should be everywhere. But in fact, there are some strong studies that you guys have done that showed that there's a significantly higher rate of emergency room visits, 22% greater risk of ER visit for any reason for a woman who's taken an abortion pill, 53% greater risk of an ER visit for an abortion-related reason. How does that statistic not get into the news media more?
It's unfortunate that academia and the media are both carrying the water for this pro-abortion narrative that chemical abortions are safe. And we've seen headlines out there that chemical abortions are as safe as Tylenol. It simply isn't true. That's not true. Chemical abortions are very dangerous. When you look at the data we have in America, first of all, we have probably 15% of abortions that happen never even get reported. So there's no way the complications from those abortions get reported. The complication data that the FDA has is voluntary. And it's often the emergency room doctor, not the abortionist, who sees the complication. So they don't know that that's necessarily the cause. They don't put it forward into the voluntary reporting system. We're missing so much data about the complications. So what we did is we used Medicaid claims data from the states that pay for abortions with state taxpayer dollars. And we looked at over 400,000 abortions that occurred. And then we drilled down and looked at chemical abortions. And we saw if there was a charge or a claim for chemical abortions, and then subsequent to that, we were able to see who ended up in the emergency room. And the rate of complications leading to emergency room visits from chemical abortions increased over 500% in a 12-year period. It's the largest study of its kind. It's the first study of its kind. And it shows, using hard claims data from Medicaid, that chemical abortions are dangerous.
Yeah, and when you talk about a sample of 400,000, that is huge. Most polls only take about 1,000 people to make projections. That is a really detailed study, and it was peer-reviewed, correct?
Absolutely. That was peer-reviewed. The follow-up to it showed that the dangers of, when you looked at chemical abortions, the complications, 60% of those women are actually miscoded as having a miscarriage. Oftentimes, we think that's because the abortion industry tells women to lie to their doctors. But in doing so, they're only creating additional risk and health safety concerns for those women. The women who were miscoded as having a miscarriage versus complications from their chemical abortion actually saw increased surgery needs after the fact, increased additional visits to the hospital after the fact. So you have the abortion industry lying on the front end saying that chemical abortions are safe. And then because they know there will be complications, they tell women to then go in and lie to their doctors and say, it wasn't a chemical abortion. Tell your doctor it was a miscarriage. That only leads to further complications for those mothers. It is dangerous, and it's a terrible stain I think, on the conversation that the abortion industry is so committed to getting their profits that they're willing to lie to mothers and have them put themselves in danger.
Yeah, the cycle of mistruths actually has a medical consequence. I think that's one of the things we forget about. There was another famous person that recently made a comment or claim about the likelihood of women dying from pregnancy. Associate Justice of the Supreme Court Sotomayor made some comments here today. Even some of the mainstream media blew the whistle on that. Tell us about what the justice got wrong and what the truth is.
Well, when you look at maternal mortality, the first thing you have to keep in mind, and accepting that every situation is heartbreaking, and it is a tragedy when a woman loses her life in that situation, but it is so rare in America. Oftentimes these studies that we hear about talk about rates or comparisons of different things, but when you look at it, the instances of maternal mortality are so low that even the CDC has notes on their data that say it's very difficult to use our data to make any kind of comparisons or any kind of projections. They don't even create rates for some of the states because you're talking about low single-digit numbers of instances. You can't do science off of that. You can't create data replication. You can't understand what the causes were and then project those causes out across all of the different things that may have been a factor in that situation. So we don't have the maternal mortality data that we need, in part because we have so few maternal mortality deaths, to even try to make comparisons or make statements. There's this claim out there that pregnancy is 14 times more dangerous than abortion. You can't do that math. It's been proven over and over. There are peer-reviewed studies that take down that claim that show we don't have data that supports that claim. And it's unfortunate that claims like that continue to be made when there's no scientific evidence to back them up.
Yeah, so important to knock down these falsehoods. Kamala Harris recently, our vice president, said something pretty provocative, got a lot of blowback. She said, quote, "Every day women are getting pregnant in the U.S. and that's an issue." Your take on what she said?
I guess I don't understand where she would be coming from with that. Certainly life should be cherished. Every life is valuable. We are created by God, and he knows what his plans are for us. And I think what's unfortunate is that we've gotten away from understanding how incredible life is. We no longer treat it the way that it should be treated. We've treated it as if it's an inconvenience to us. We've seen Biden administration officials say that it's a drain on the economy or that it's going to create more government need. All of those are just fundamentally missing the point that we're talking about a human life, a baby who hasn't been born yet, but is going to come into this world and can be loved and cherished. And who knows what possibilities they have before them, what they're going to create, what they're going to achieve, what scientific miracles they'll be able to uncover. And we just have to get back to a place as a culture where we are really cherishing each and every life for how special they are.
Yeah, so important. And to think our vice president would call that an issue, the birth of a baby, an issue, is remarkable. We got about 30 seconds left. Real quickly, only 14 states authorize some form of alternative to abortion, funding life-affirming pregnancy. Why is that? And is that an area where there could be a lot of room for improvement?
We've already seen a number of pro-life governors and pro-life leaders come to the front and say this is something that they want to focus on. When we look at pregnancy centers, we've seen, each year they're serving millions of women, millions of dads, millions of families. They're serving with hundreds of millions of dollars in services and counseling and teaching. We just released a study that showed in a 5-year period, those pregnancy centers actually saved 800,000 lives. Amazing. They were able to engage with women who are abortion-minded or abortion vulnerable, and in working with them, show them the reality of what their child would be when he's born, give them the support that they need, really stand with mothers so that they can carry their pregnancy to term and love their child, versus what the abortion industry and what the Democrats say is the solution. They say, kill your baby, and that'll be the end of your problems. They don't worry about the health risk, the mental health risk, the physical health risk, and it's unfortunate. And I'm glad to see more conservative governors, more pro-life leaders coming to the front to stand with women.
Yeah, that's going to be a trend line we're going to be watching closely over the next year. Stephen Billy, we really appreciate your time today. Thanks for helping put a lot of perspective as we wrap up today's show.
Thanks so much for having me, John.
Great honor to have you on. Folks, it's hard to believe the hour went by, but that's what happens when you're having an important conversation like the one we've just had. It is clear the historic Dobbs ruling in the Supreme Court is going to resonate for years to come in America. And as it does, and states decide where they stand on allowing abortions, one key takeaway from tonight's guest is that it is essential to be educated. There is a lot of emotion and a lot of misinformation on this issue being spread by politicians and news media members. Getting the facts is the first and best step for being effective. We hope that we helped a little bit with that mission tonight. And with that, we wish you a good night and ask that God bless you, your family, and this great nation. Thanks for watching.